Hello, Nick, and welcome to my office. Welcome to your interview here. How are you, by the way?
I'm disappointed by the way the season ended. I'm motivated to fix this going forward.
Okay. Well, you know, I think you know where I stand. I like you personally. I'm so proud of the things that we have accomplished together over the past 3 years. But I mean, put yourself in my shoes watching the end of that season. Like, tough to watch. And so you know, my preference, I would say, is that we are able to find a way forward together. But my allegiance at the end of the day is to that Eagle. And so we're going to hash this out. I want to have some difficult conversations. I think that's the way that progress works. And so before we get to, you know, your plan for how to fix this, I think let's talk a little bit about, you know, how this all happened. Tell me how you think the offense did this year.
It can be better, but I do want to interject one thing, and I appreciate the fact that you say you like me when you're thinking about the Eagles. I imagine you're thinking about winning because I have won a greater percentage of my games than any coach you've ever employed. I just want to make sure you know that.
I'm well aware of my own history. Thank you very much.
Yeah. When I look at our offense, it can be better, but you can't always listen to what everyone's saying in the media. We're top 10 in all these numbers that you look at. We're number 7 in EPA per play. We're number 10 in success rate. We're number 7 in points per drive. We're number 7 in yards per drive. We can be better, and we will be better, and I have a plan about how to fix it. And there were
Do you think that's good enough, Nick? Because I think
that
if you think that's good enough, then this actually might be a shorter conversation than I was expecting. Do you know how much I have given you on offense?
So
10th? You're going to come in here and pound and puff out your chest about 10th?
You know, when I was at Mount Union, I left Indiana, University of Pennsylvania, and I went to Mount Union for my interview, and the great coach Larry Karras asked me, what should this offense look like? And I started telling him all these ideas for schemes, and he banged the table, and he said, players, not plays, okay? We can be better. There are things we can do better personnel-wise. There are ways
so you're
we
saying
can utilize
that the players
the
are the
personnel.
problem here. That's what you're
not
telling
what
me.
I'm saying.
You know,
I
have worked with Andy Reid, and you're going to bring Larry Karras into this? This is the NFL, my friend.
So there are things we can do to better utilize our personnel. I have a plan going forward to do that. There are different things we can incorporate that we haven't done at a high rate. But no, I know the offense can be better. The reality, though, is when I look at the difference between the offense last year and the offense this year, the big difference I see are turnovers. Now, I'm the head coach. I take responsibility for everything. I will wear that. But I look at it from year to year. Turnovers is not a sticky stat. Turnovers, there's variability there. And
I mean,
if you look at the amount of drives that we've had.
You did tell me last year that this was a thing that you did well coaching.
I did tell you that last year.
Either you were lying to me then or you're lying to me now.
It's not a matter of lying. With more information, your opinions evolve. And there are things that we can certainly coach better fundamental-wise. I'm not making excuses, but our practices, we adhere to what you asked for in terms of the way we practiced, in terms of making sure these are healthy. There are a lot of head coaches out there who wouldn't take these types of notes on sports science, who wouldn't take these types of notes on how to structure the practice schedule. When I was at Mount Union,
let's not forget.
When I was at Mount
this
Union,
is the only place you interviewed. Okay, so don't tell me that you could have done different stuff elsewhere. Okay, I have created you.
So when I look at it, yes, there are things that we can do better, but the turnovers were the big difference between the way our offense played in 2022 and the way our offense played in 2023, and then explosive play rate. And part of that had to do with the way defenses were playing with us, and now we have an offseason here to continue to adjust. Do you know how hard I work, Jeffrey? Do you realize that I haven't seen I have not seen the sun since the bye week? Okay, I'm here first thing in the morning. I'm the last one to leave here.
I think that might be part of the problem.
I sleep on my couch. I wear this Oura ring on my finger to track my sleep. I haven't seen the number 5 since Jalen Rose wore it. So respectfully, I'm putting in the hours, and there are things that we can do better. But now we have the offseason to study this and to evolve and to grow. And wait until you hear my plan for evolution.
Did you not get those emails we sent you about all the studies about the effectiveness of sleep on performance? Did you just not read those?
Oh, I thought anything with sleep was filtered out after the Chip Kelly era, that you put like the filter in there and then it doesn't come through.
Okay, well, I think we're gonna need to talk about your sleep habits. I think that could actually be part of the problem here. What I am not getting from you, Nick, is enough recognition of how bad and how underperforming the offense was. I mean, we all sat there. I certainly was watching it from my seat in the owner's box. How do you not have a plan for the blitz, Nick? What is the problem?
That's a fair question. We did not play well over the last 6 games of the year. I do want to say that when you look at our plan,
I don't mean to be rude. Pardon me. I am getting a lot of text. So, hold on one sec. I don't know why Pete Carroll is texting me. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
You're my boss, so I will excuse that. If that happened in a meeting with one of our players, though, he gets fined because I believe in accountability. It's one of my 5 core values.
Okay, well then let's talk about the accountability of your performance calling plays against the blitz. I mean, I'm no football expert. You can be the football expert, although I do fashion myself, pretty smart and savvy about these things, having been closely around the team for so long. But I mean, my secretary could tell you that Wink Martindale is going to come out and blitz. How were you so surprised by that?
It's not that we were surprised by it. A matter of fact, if you watch the film from our first game against the Giants, we handled that blitz quite adeptly. I think the ball only hit the turf 3 or 4 times that whole game. We had a good plan. Now, I will say we didn't plan well enough our answers. We didn't get to our answers well enough in that season finale, and then certainly in the playoff game, we didn't get to our answers. We didn't get there.
What answers were there?
You know how many hours we were in there
answers.
putting our blitz plan together? Okay, we had a plan there.
Think about this from my perspective. If you're telling me that you worked as hard as possible and squeezed every bit of juice out of that piece of fruit, and that's what you came up with, how am I supposed to think that there's any way that this could get better?
You've heard of Andy Reid. You mentioned him before. Do you think his staff worked hard?
Yeah, and by the
2 weeks?
way, I did not really appreciate the way that you came out after that Chiefs game and sort of made Andy Reid look like a fool, one of my close personal friends.
You mean after we won, after we went on the road in Kansas City and beat them, after we avenged the Super Bowl loss and we beat them?
Yeah, I found that a little bit untoward.
You're referring to
frankly.
that? Do you think the Chiefs staff worked hard when we beat them this year? Do you think the Dolphins staff worked hard when we beat them this year? Do you think the Cowboys staff worked hard when we beat them this year? Do you think the Rams staff worked? I mean, Sean McVay, I keep hearing about him being the wonder kid coach.
Yeah, I know Sean.
We went there and we played exceedingly well. So look, we did not play well over the last few weeks of the season, and I take responsibility for that. I am the head coach. I look at my 3-year body of work and I say that you can see in 2021 when I gave up play calling, the humility that showed, okay? I've proven that I can adjust, okay? The way that I've rallied this team then in 2021 from 2-5 to going on and making the postseason. By the way, I don't know what it's like not to make the playoffs here because all I've done for you in 3 years is make the playoffs. I keep hearing about how much you respect Bill Belichick in New England, and I respect him so much that I took Matt Patricia on my staff when you guys told me to. But Bill Belichick in his first 3 years in New England had a 41.7% winning percentage, okay? I've won 2/3 of my games. Andy, since 2021, the only coaches who've won more games are Andy Reid, Mike McCarthy, Sean McDermott, and Mike Shanahan. But in their first 3 years as head coach, do you know how many of them have a better winning percentage than me? None of them. Nobody does. I've won more. I have a better winning percentage in 3 years than any coach you can find. So, respectfully, I know how to win. I've proven that. That's why you've had the amount of. That's why we have had the amount of success we've had during these 3 years. These past 6 weeks have not been good, and I take ownership of it. But look at 3 years. Please don't look at 6 weeks.
Well, 7 weeks. You went 1-6 to close the season, and the last time any of my coaches went 1-6 over any 7-game stretch, I fired a coach who actually won the Super Bowl for me. Okay, and didn't lose in the Super Bowl. So let's keep that in mind.
You fired him how many years after he made the Super Bowl? Because from my look,
I fired him the very next time he lost 6 out of 7 games.
I don't read what's being said, but someone gave me this information that in your time as owner, you've made the Super Bowl 2 other times before this. And both times you had a worse record in the year after the Super Bowl than my team had.
Yeah, of course. Every team has a worse record after they make the Super Bowl.
You know how difficult it is.
I'm no dummy.
You know how difficult it is to rebound from the Super Bowl? Because if I can tell you that what we had to endure this year, and the fact that we won 11 games when most teams I shouldn't say most teams, but teams the year after the Super Bowl don't have the success that we've had. So I'm not making excuses, but this offseason we have an action plan. I have an action plan. If you allow me to get into it, I will be glad to tell you.
I'm not quite done sort of relitigating all of this because the how matters in my estimation. If you were to have told me entering the season that we were going to go whatever our record was and lose in the first round of the playoffs, I would have been very disappointed with that. But I would have understood. Things happen. I've been around the league long enough to know that. But the way it happened, Nick, I mean, to have been 10-1 and for you to have made what seemed to me like a pretty hasty decision with your defensive coordinator, and then all of a sudden,
were we not in the room together? Did we not decide that as a group with you and Howie? You're acting like this came out of left field. Was this not a group decision?
You have told me all along that the coaching staff is what you are responsible for. And that did not look like a well-coached team to me, especially on defense.
The coaching staff is what I'm responsible for. I took this job and you had all these assistants for me ready to go. The 2 coaches I brought in that I have a history with, they went on to become head coaches.
Well, what is up with that? Do you think that Shane was responsible for the offense, their success all along? Because
this is my offense.
Here's my thing. That first year, when you were calling plays, that offense was not very good. We handed things over to Shane. And then we went to the Super Bowl a year later, and then all of a sudden Shane's gone, and I'm getting an offense that's like 10th in DVOA despite having the best offensive line in football that I have paid lots and lots of money to. I gave A.J. Brown $100 million, drafted Devontae Smith for you, gave Jalen Hurts all this money, and you're giving me 10th without Shane Steichen? It feels like maybe I should call Jim Irsay. I feel like I could convince him on a few things and maybe just get Shane back here. That might be better.
I know your favorite restaurants in Philadelphia. I know you like Barclay Prime and Estia, Nomad and Sagami and Tequilas and Tinto and Vernick in Vietnam. When you go to
You're freaking me out a little bit.
When you go to these restaurants and you see the menu, okay, and then you order something from the menu, are you the one cooking it or are you just the one ordering it? I put that menu together. The menu that Shane Steichen was calling plays from. That's the Nick Sirianni offense. That's our offense. The menu that Brian Johnson is calling plays from. That's the Brian Johnson offense.
You see,
I'm sorry. That's the Nick Sirianni offense.
If you're gonna make me live in this metaphor, yeah, I have much more respect for the cook who is cooking the food than for the person from 10,000 feet above who is just putting the ingredients together. Give me the craftsman.
This is all part of it. I have that headset on. I hear every play that's being made, and sometimes I even provide my input on the plays that are being made. But I'm gonna stick up for my staff. Okay, Shane worked incredibly hard. He went on to become a head coach. Jonathan worked incredibly hard. He went on to become a head coach. Brian Johnson's getting these interviews now. This staff, these are my guys, and I work like crazy for them. And I do want to make one thing abundantly clear here. Okay, you say it was 7 weeks. If this was based on 7 weeks, if you made big decisions on 7 weeks, you would have given Travis Fulgham, A.J. Brown money. Okay, you have to look at this over. You have to look at the entire body of work, and the entire body of work over 3 years is exceedingly strong.
What about just like the effort that I saw on the field, Nick? I mean, you've made such a big deal about connection and hard work and all this stuff, and if all that leads to is guys looking like they're quitting on the field, what am I paying you
now,
for?
I'm going to stand up for my players here. They were not quitting. They were putting their bodies on the line there. They were playing their butts off, and it just some days it's not your day. Okay, I'm wearing this shirt here. Okay, can I tell you about the Fab Five?
My God!
I grew up idolizing this team, the Fab Five. They were my favorite team growing up, and you know what? They played great all year in the national championship game.
Finally, almost got some nudity.
Chris Webber calls a timeout. Does that take away from all that they? Look, it was a mistake in a game, but it was the way that they played throughout the year. The way that they played over that 2-year period, I'm not going to take one bad moment in his career and say that's who he is. I'm not going to look at these players from their worst moments. I'm going to look at them from their entire body of work. These guys work hard. You can put that on me, but I am confident that I had these guys prepared and ready to go. And some days it's just not your day. And you know what? They had a long season last year. Okay, they were playing until February because we made the Super Bowl, okay? And then this year, they come out, they have all these expectations on them, and the first 11 games of the year, we go 10-1. We face this gauntlet of a schedule. What? I thought you were connected around the league. How did we get this schedule? How did we get all these Monday night games? How did we get all these
so it's
short
my fault.
weeks?
That's your winning message.
That's not my message. I am simply saying I'm trying to stand up for my players here. You can put this onto me.
Well, you talk about connected around the league. Howie, do you mind handing me those numbers? Yeah, thank you. What is up, Nick? Dead last in the league in motion rate? Both pre-snap and post-snap? All you told me is a wise man avoids all extremes. This is like a big part of your interview process with me. You're letting your nuts hang here with the Michigan shirt. It's 3 years in. I feel like I'm hearing the same references from you. Do you have anything else to build on? Where is the creativity? I want my offense to be an offense that is looked upon by everybody around the league saying, wow, they're doing something that we want to do. And I hear from buddies, owners around the league. I hear from my friend Troy Aikman talking about how pathetic your structure is, how uncreative it is. What's the problem?
Well, motion for motion's sake is not a recipe for success. There are things we can do.
Don't tell me what's a recipe for success.
There are things we can do with motion, and I assure you that we're going to look real hard at our scheme and our play calling throughout this offseason to incorporate some of these concepts. But just putting someone in motion, what we want to do is we want to play fast. We want to trust our talent. We don't want them to be overloaded or overthinking on the field. We want to get them into advantageous matchups, and we believe that A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert can win their matchups. There are things that we can and will do better, but just because you see a coach running someone around in motion doesn't necessarily mean that's the key to the offense. Players, not plays. Larry Karras told me that.
So you're saying it's his fault? The players? This is a Howie thing?
I have great respect for Howie.
Do you want me to do? Should we do the Batman thing? I'll give you both a broken pool cue, and one of you can walk out of here.
So but
you know I'm in the movies.
I really enjoy your films. A matter of fact, I watched The League this offseason. It was a terrific, inspiring film that I want to show my team this season.
Yeah, I did notice that you didn't show it to them this year.
Well, it came out during the offseason, and I wanted to give them their time, and I wanted to take my time because I don't sleep. I don't sleep from August until February. So
not a selling point.
So when a movie premieres in the middle of July, that's my only time at home. I mean, have I told you about this restaurant up in Jamestown? It is terrific.
Excuse me, Mr. Lurie. Bill is on the line for you.
Oh, thanks. I'll hold on. Just take a few minutes for yourself. Thank you.
Well, while you're doing that, I do have some weekend plans that I need to fill now. I expected to be working this weekend. Unfortunately, we are not playing this weekend, and now I can take my kids to a game. But I didn't prepare ahead of time. So what I need to do is find tickets. And where can I find tickets? Well, that pesky short reporter Zach told me about the Game Time app, and he told me if I use code PHLY for $20 off, I can get if I use code PHLY, I can get $20 off my first purchase. Well, that's what I'm going to do because this is my first time going out here. Buying tickets to your favorite events should not be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals and last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. They have flash deals and last-minute tickets, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. There's image of seat views. I'm used to the sideline view. Now I need to see what it looks like from the seats. I can see that. Lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. Get images of your seats before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps. And your set tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Sorry about that, Nick. I had a call I had to take. And it does occur to me that if I do decide to move on, I'm not going to send you away empty-handed. I'll probably. It seems to me that you care a little bit more about Michigan than you do about the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think they do have Michigan stuff at FOCO. I'll get you a nice gift certificate to FOCO because FOCO is a leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment merchandise with a product line that includes apparel, accessories, toys, collectibles, novelty items, and more. It's the best officially licensed gear for all sports and fandoms. Going to a basketball game or a hockey game? I don't know if you have time, but you might have a lot of time on your hands coming up soon. You can show off your love with team-branded friendship bracelets. Nick, I noticed you're not wearing the one that I gave you. Whether it is hoodies, jackets, beachwear, or even overalls, there is something for fans for almost every occasion. FOCO has hooked PHLY, which is that new company in Philadelphia that I've really taken a liking to. They've hooked them up and provided awesome pieces for their sets. FOCO always has our back for Philly sports, and they have yours too. Get the best gear around by using the link in our description. For all non-pre-sale items, use the promo code PHLY10 for 10% off. Okay. Tell me again how you thought that whole Patricia thing went down. Because, boy, did that backfire.
Well, I believe that we are an organization. It's not simply me as the head coach. It's not simply Howie as the GM and vice president of player personnel, and it's not simply you as the chairman and CEO. It is us. We win together and we lose together. And I do remember when we were 10-1. We were 10-1, the best team in the league. and we had a conversation about.
We also talked at the time. We were not playing like the best team.
Yeah,
in the league.
we had a conversation about third down defense and some situations and how we need to be better there because to win in the postseason, we're going to need to be better situationally. And you had mentioned to me during the offseason about Matt Patricia, and I interviewed him, and I liked Matt. We have shared values from Central and Western New York. Okay, I mean if you're ever in that area, Jeffrey, I can tell you a great place for lasagna. Okay, it is terrific in Jamestown, by the way.
I don't think you've been paying enough attention to what I like to eat.
And so Matt and I know a lot of the same people, and Jeff Stoutland gave him a glowing recommendation from their time together at Syracuse. And you know what? We had an inexperienced staff because we had to fill some roles after we made the Super Bowl. I just want to remind after we made the Super Bowl, okay? In my second year as head coach, we made the Super Bowl.
I'm not in this to finish second in anything.
We had the conversation. I liked Matt. We added him to the staff. I had great reverence for the New England Patriots, and I wanted to learn some of the things that worked during the Patriots' reign of success. Not necessarily.
You know what? That is interesting. I wonder if it would be interesting to learn a little bit more about the Patriots' track record of success and try to bring a little bit, maybe a lot of it, to Philadelphia.
Oh, well, no, I was referring to their success like 5-8 years ago. A matter of fact, in the time that I've been your head coach, I believe the Patriots have won 10 games, 8 games, and 4 games. Okay, whereas I've won 9 games, 13 games, and 11 games. I just want to.
Yeah, I mean that was a bad team this year, and you
just want to
almost lost to them in week 1, if I remember, Nick.
You know what? We're not going for style points. A win is a win. Look, I have great respect for you here, but I keep hearing about point.
This is awfully bold of you.
I keep hearing about point differential. I don't believe in point differential as a revealing
stat. So you don't
stat.
believe in math?
I believe in math. I went to Mount Union. Okay, I was an education major in Mount Union. I believe in math. I mean, for sure, I believe in math. But the math that I care about is having one more point than the other team at the end of the game, which we did 11 times this year, and which I've done at a greater rate than any coach you've ever employed.
I don't mean to be offensive with this, and this doesn't mean that I have made my decision, but that is awfully dumb.
Well, look, everyone has different metrics for how to measure success. What I do, other than wins and losses, is I look at the explosive play differential, and I look at the turnover differential. And we need to be better in both those areas.
And so do you stand by your decision to make Matt Patricia your defensive coordinator? I'm reading, I'm watching the videos from the locker room cleanout yesterday, as I do always on PhiladelphiaEagles.com, and I'm seeing defensive players admitting that it was a terrible thing for them to do, to have to play for 2 different defensive coordinators. I got an old cornerback talking about polyamory. Like, what is going on?
I need to tell you, this is startling to me. I say this with respect. I have a great deal of respect for you and for everyone in this building and everyone in this front office. But goodness, we discussed this together. This was a joint decision, I thought. You told me
you were on the hook for.
You told me do what's best for the team. After
and
we
you
had
thought
this
this
long
was what was best for the team?
After we had this long conversation.
All right, throwing me under the bus is an odd tack to take,
because,
but here we go.
I'm more focused on how we can fix this going forward. And I got to tell you, I didn't come here trying to relitigate the past. I came here prepared to fix this going forward so we can take this talent and we can take this staff and we can leverage all the resources in the building and get back to the Super Bowl where I was last year. Where we can get back deep into the playoffs. All I know is getting to the playoffs, by the way. I should make clear, you've never dismissed a coach after he made the postseason. I should also make clear that you've never...
Again, I am very familiar with my own history. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to take into account the question. Look, there are. I'm not listening to what's out there, but there are national reporters who are saying that the concept of even having this discussion is absurd. Jalen Hurts even said.
Yeah, I think you'll notice they've changed their tune. The national reporters will do whatever I want them to do.
Is that how it works? I've been wondering all this time. I mean, I'm driving to I'm going to the games on Sunday mornings, and I see all these reports, and I'm asking.
Wait a second. Hold on. Are you looking at your phone as you're driving?
No, I'm on a team bus.
Oh, okay.
But I'm asking all the people around me, how did they get this? Is this coming from my locker room? Because my guys aren't talking and my staff's not talking.
No, I don't
Where's
think-
this coming from?
I think you probably know that that's not the case. Loose lips may be sinking ships here, my friend. All right, well, I will let you present your plan moving forward after I tell you about this thing I did the other day. You know, I'm good friends with, you sort of mentioned him earlier, and I didn't appreciate the way that you called him annoying, but that Zach Berman fellow from PHLY, I think he does a better job covering the team than anybody in the market. And he and I met up at Wheelhouse Cards because he wanted to show me his favorite place in the state of Pennsylvania. And he starts going on and on about Wheelhouse is his go-to sports card gift and apparel shop in the Delaware Valley. He says their motto is cards and community because love of sports unites us all. And he's going on and on. He says, they carry all of your favorite card brands like Topps Chrome Baseball and Mosaic Football, as well as T-shirts, hats, and hoodies from brands like Mitchell & Ness, 47 brand, Junk Food, Starter, and Shibe Vintage Sports. And I got to say that, like, I was unsure if that was true, and then I went in and I had a great time. And boy, the quality of their stuff is so much better than that terrible stuff that you can get at Fanatics. Because, I mean, that deal that Goodell signed, like with the devil, you have how much fan mail I have piled up in the mailroom about people complaining about they can't get Kelly Green jerseys or they're getting Eagles jerseys with the names printed all over the place because that company is terrible. Well, all of a sudden, Berman's starting to make sense, and he goes looking. If you're looking to grade your sports card collection, Wheelhouse offers PSA grading submissions. They also host tons of family-friendly events and birthday parties every month. And I'm like, okay, fine, let's go. And he says, stop in to either of their stores in Wayne or Westchester, which are open 7 days a week at 11 a.m. Use code PHLY and get $10 off any purchase of $25 or more in store. Also, be sure to give them a follow on Instagram at Wheelhouse Cards. And I signed up for Instagram just to do that because that's how much I respect Zach Berman.
That's nice. You know what? I need to start giving that Zach guy more stuff.
Yeah, I think you do. All right, let's
By
talk
the way,
about this.
I just have a quick question for you, Jeffrey. Why, look, I believe in connection, okay, and I want to have this connection.
And so, what is the level of connection you have with your quarterback? Because I watched that press conference. I'm going to talk to Jalen, and it doesn't seem like he's going to go to bat for you.
Well, I just want to say, just like your favorite music ranges from the Doors to Bob Marley to Shakira, okay, I'm able to connect with everyone in that locker room in different ways. And
boy, that Shakira can sing.
Jalen Hurts included, because look, Jalen and I have a lot in common. We're both coaches' sons. We've grown up around the game. We were we idolized our older brothers, and we were the ball boys on the sideline growing up. And he and I, we talk football all the time, and we're competitive SOBs. Like we get after it, and we live and breathe this. And when you love football as much as Jalen does, and as much as I do, you're not into narratives. You're not following. When these reporters are asking Jalen, should Nick come back? You think Jalen's reading the Sunday paper? You think Jalen's going online and reading all these stories? No, Jalen's in the playbook. Jalen's going over our third down.
Well, that's fine. I'll just text him. I'll just ask if he wants you to be back.
I don't know where everyone's getting all this stuff about Jalen, but the Jalen Hurts that I know.
He just sent me a shrug emoji.
Look, this is what I know about Jalen. Before I took over, you were trying to trade for Russell Wilson. Before I took over, you were trying to trade for Deshaun Watson.
Don't put that on me.
These were the conversations.
Howie, back off. No, don't punch him. No.
These were the conversations that Howie had with me. I know, based on our interview, how much you loved Jalen coming out of the draft. But I also know that it's not like you guys were totally sold on him. And I know that under my coaching, our coaching, it's not just about me, under our coaching and with the infrastructure we have in this organization.
Right, with Shane, yeah.
Jalen turned into, Shane was calling the plays from my menu. Okay, just like when you go to Vernick, if you want that chicken, okay, and that's the best chicken in the city, okay, you're ordering it from the menu that I created. I just wanted to make that clear.
How difficult it is to just write chicken. How about the person who's cooking the chicken? That's way.
How about the fact that chicken
Keep effing that chicken.
was put together? And by the way, that beef tartare toast, you can't find a better dish in the city. Just want to make that clear.
Don't you not live in the city anymore?
I'm always around here, okay? I mean, by the way.
Wait a second, aren't you sleeping at the office?
I love Philadelphia. Can I tell you that this
isn't? Don't you think that like every time I'm checking out your expense reports, all I'm seeing is like Pizza Hut.
No, I only use Little Caesars because they are your partner. They are our partner. I would never dare say Pizza Hut in a press conference.
Yeah,
okay?
that was almost the fireable offense.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Trust me. I heard it from that side of the building, and I made that abundantly clear the next time. But, man, I love the city of Philadelphia. I just want to make that clear. Everyone's been so welcoming to my family and me. Jay Wright and I are texting all the time. By the way, Jay Wright.
I know Jay. I had him over for dinner last week.
Jay is...
He's actually thinking about getting back into coaching. I wondered how much he knows about football.
Well, Jay told me that the idea of me even being on the hot seat is crazy. Do you know how long it took for Jay to get to the Final Four and to win those 2 national championships? I was in the Super Bowl my second year. My second year.
Jay didn't have me.
That is correct. Jay did not. Because you are a terrific chairman and CEO and owner of this franchise. Right. But Jalen and I connect over a lot of things, and we've discussed in our exit meeting everything from his leadership style to different things he can do on the field to what he's seeing in terms of hot reads, in terms of sight adjustments. When the blitz comes, how we can improve this offense using his legs. One thing I just want to make clear is that when we're in shotgun, as much as we are, the reason we're doing that is so we can have the +1 in the running game. And that is important for me to mention because before I became the head coach, I didn't have a quarterback as athletic and as good a runner as Jalen. I had Phillip Rivers, who's outstanding in his own right, but our offense was different for Phillip than it is for Jalen. And if you recall, in 2021, we were trying to use a lot of those concepts from Phillip Rivers, and then we adjusted. I showed the humility
I feel like
to
those
adjust our
concepts could
offense.
have been helpful this season.
I showed the humility to seed play calling so I can manage the game in the manner in which you would like. I mean,
hold on a second, Nick, because this is on my list. The managing the game part, boy, like I've got this whole list of mistakes that you have made. Not going for 2 when you should have gone for 2. Punting, like one of those loser franchises on 4th and 2 or 4th and 3. We are all about offense here. We are all about following the numbers, and you have not been doing that. I see Jalen Hurts staying in bounds at the end of the first half. I see guys not doing what they're supposed to do. We've had these conversations. We've talked about this. You have failed me 100% on this aspect.
You can't always go by the numbers. I heard an expression one time that numbers are like bikinis. What they show are revealing, and what they conceal is vital. Okay?
Yeah. I'm very familiar with bikinis. Thank you.
So,
I'm going to make this clear. Okay? If we are going to move forward, the absolute table stakes here, without possible argument, is that you are going to hire somebody who I recommend, who is going to call the games, and you are not going to be making those mistakes again, and you're going to listen to that person.
well, Yes, we are going to evolve as a staff.
No. This is non-negotiable. This is me telling you what to do.
I will accept that, but I just want to state my case here. The talk of the NFL this year, when you were at the fall meetings and everyone was coming up to you and they were bringing up the quarterback sneak, the thing that you trademarked, by the way. Some people call it the tush push. I call it the brotherly shove. That's what you trademarked. That's what the organization trademarked. Well, look, they weren't doing this 3 years ago. They weren't doing this.
How do you think I'm going to pay for all those offensive linemen?
They weren't doing this 5 years ago. This is something that we put in. And our aggressiveness on fourth down, how many teams get to first down and they're thinking it's 1st and 9 every play? And we can do that because of what I put into this offense.
Do you know how dumb that 1st and 9 thing is? It bothers me every time I hear it.
The aggressiveness that we show on fourth down, you can't find that. And by the way,
yes, I can.
We are the best fourth down team in the NFL.
Yeah, just because you're playing for it. You rely too much on that, and that is not the point of this conversation. I'm talking about game management stuff, end of halves. You have failed. We are going to get better there, or you are going to be gone.
I obsess over game management, Jeffrey.
Then you're just telling me you're not smart.
Jeffrey, I'm sitting in my office at 3:30 a.m. and I'm watching every game situation that they put together for me from around the league.
If that's going to lead to Jalen Hurts staying in bounds.
A matter of fact,
at the end of the first half.
I saw something from a North Carolina Virginia game. Okay, that I went and I showed my team. I saw something from a St. Joe's Prep LaSalle game that I showed my team because I see these situations.
This is not a discussion. You have not done a good job here. It is if you are going to stay, which is a big if. We're going to get to what you think the fixes are. You are absolutely taking what I'm giving you without discussion.
Is Belichick going to take that? Is Belichick going to do that for you?
Okay, maybe you just need to leave. I'm sorry.
Is Vrabel going to do that for you? Do you think these guys? Are going to take their years of coaching and all of a sudden put that in? While you're doing that, can I start telling you?
They both said yes.
Of course, they're both out of work right now.
Would you like to know what that feels like?
If I would be out of work for 30 seconds. You want to know why? Because I have...
because there's a local high school looking to hire a wide receivers coach?
No, because I'm in the top 5 in wins over the last 3 years. I have a greater winning percentage in my first 3 years as head coach than Bill Belichick, than Andy Reid.
I have been getting texts from people all around the league all season laughing at your offense, saying your offense is a joke, okay? You are not getting hired this cycle if I fire you.
Oh, yeah? I mean...
You want to make a bet? Let's make a bet.
Chip Kelly got fired Chip Kelly got hired when you fired him.
And then got fired a year later.
Andy Reid got hired when you fired him. Ray Rhodes got hired when you fired him. Now, I know Ray Rhodes and Chip Kelly they were one and done where they went next. But you know what? You didn't hire me for the coach that I am. You hired me for the coach that I can become.
Yeah, I hired you for the coach you became in 2022, and then you became a worse coach in 2023.
And I'll become a better coach in 2024.
Tell me how.
You want to know why? Because nobody works harder than me at this.
If this is the only card you have to play, I am very, very disappointed.
But I do...
This is actually going to be an easier decision than I expected.
I do have a lot of ideas for how to reshape our staff.
Tell me, because I'm running out of patience.
So first off, let's start with defensive coordinator. There's a lot of really good candidates out there. A matter of fact, there's one candidate that comes to my mind, and it'd be a bold hire, but you believe in boldness, right? I learned a long time ago from Larry Karras that...
I know. He never shuts up about Karras.
That
unbelievable.
If you can't beat him...
I should just hire Coach Flynn. I know. I agree.
If you can't beat him, join him. And you know what? Look at the coaches who give you challenges and take their ideas. Well, every time we play the Dallas Cowboys, I am so impressed with Al Harris. And you remember Al Harris from his time here. He's a former Eagle.
Yeah.
His expertise, it's in the defensive backfield. We can use some help there, but I believe in turnovers. Turnover differential is one of the 2 metrics that I look at the most. And man,
we've established you're a simpleton.
Respectfully, I don't appreciate that. As I grew up in education. My father is a teacher. My mother's a teacher. Teaching everyone in the Sirianni family has married teachers. We believe so much in that. I went to Mount Union and I studied education. I believe in always getting smarter. Now, I'm not a big reader, okay, but I love watching documentaries. A matter of fact, I was watching this documentary the other day when I was killing time in my hotel room in Tampa leading up to the game. It was about the Fab Five, and I learned a lot from their story. I have great respect for the Fab Five, and I just want to say, when I was watching it, I received texts from a bunch of guys who consider me instrumental in their career, whether it was Keenan Allen, whether it was Philip Rivers. I can keep going here because I really believe in connection with my players. But Al Harris is someone, he doesn't have coordinator experience. And so if we want to be bold, I like, Al Harris has learned under Dan Quinn in recent years. He was in Green Bay for a long time. He was in Kansas City under Andy Reid. He played in Green Bay. He understands the Philadelphia market. He was here for those great Jim Johnson defenses. He can meld a lot of these different concepts together, and I'm fascinated by Al Harris. Do
you know Al?
Do I know Al? We chat after games, but from what I understand, Howie's the one he's calling all these agents, he's calling all these coaches, he's helped putting the staff together. I'm sure Howie knows Al's agent, and we can link up. Would that be an acceptable hire for you, or do you want to hear more on my list?
Oh, I'm curious about the list. I'm also curious. Are we talking? Is there anybody you're keeping on the defensive staff?
Well, I'm keeping DK McDonald. DK McDonald was
as the secondaries coach.
DK McDonald was a
terrible performance.
Was a groomsman in my wedding. We lived together when I was a coach at IUP. DK is a terrific coach and a great man, and I want DK on my staff. I'm going to keep Tracy Rocker and Jeremiah Washburn because Howie kind of told me to. But we'll keep figuring out the rest of the staff. And
if I tell you have to replace DK McDonald, what would you say?
I would say loyalty is a great. I believe in loyalty, and that'd be a weird leg for you to stand on, DK McDonald.
I mean, we had Denard Wilson last year.
Yeah.
You had a chance to hire Denard as the defensive coordinator. We might not be having this conversation. The defensive backs took huge steps back. They looked like they didn't know what they were doing. If you want to stay, I think you need to make deeper changes than just a new defensive coordinator.
So, we'll hire the coordinator, and then we'll figure out the staff from there, because I do believe it's important that the coordinator gets coaches that believe in his philosophy
and who else is on your list?
his philosophy. So, if we want a more established coordinator, if we want someone who has coordinator experience and head coaching experience, and someone who understands the city of Philadelphia, because I love the city of Philadelphia, it's Leslie Frazier. Now, Leslie Frazier did not work out with Sean McDermott. I've
always liked Leslie.
Yeah, it did not work out with Sean McDermott at the end. I don't quite know why. I read a terrific piece by Tyler Dunn. Shout out to Western New York, all right? That's where I'm from. That's where my values are from. There were times when it'd be a snow day, and I would be excited that I was going to play Madden, and my dad said, go shovel the driveway. And go shovel the neighbor's driveway, because those are the values that we have in Western New York. So Leslie Frazier is someone who comes to mind because he's been a coordinator. He's been out of work this past year. Maybe he becomes a head coach. He took a sabbatical, but if he wants to come back, he can have a lot of autonomy on the staff. He doesn't have. He has experience. He's not working for a defensive-minded coach, although I believe I'm the head coach of the entire football team, not just the offense. But he's going to have all the autonomy.
We'll see about that.
And he worked under Jim Johnson. And Jim Johnson, the Philadelphia fans love him here. He mentions that in his press conference, and that's going to go over very well.
Okay, who else is on your list?
So Wink Martindale, someone who has given
come on.
Wink Martindale's given us a lot of trouble. And you know what? I believe that we need to change some of our approach. We need to evolve as a defensive staff here. And I believe in not allowing big plays. And we need to have the coverage deep to prevent big plays. But I see the city loves blitzing. And I saw in recent weeks the effect that could have on a team. And Wink Martindale loves to send that blitz. And
Wink is a no.
Wink
Just
is
so
a
you
no.
know. Yeah.
Okay. So I have other, Patrick Graham, for instance. He could
He's
be
given
out.
us trouble in the past.
He could be out. He worked in New England. You have a great respect for New England. I know that.
That's right. I forgot. He did. Bill just did text me. Sorry. Hold on a sec.
By the way, he's an Ivy League.
Do you fish, by the way?
I'm straight football. I'm ball all day, every day.
I might go on a little fishing trip with Bill this weekend. Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna be grinding tape this weekend. Okay, I'm gonna be watching for different ideas. But
Okay, maybe go to a dictionary and type in the word blitz and see
I
what you
just
come up with.
proposed Wink Martindale. You don't want blitz, but I will say
Okay, so your big fix basically for the defense is just get a new defensive coordinator and nothing else?
no, because we're evolving as a scheme.
How do you feel about the personnel on that side of the ball?
Well, real quick, I just want to mention Patrick Graham went to an Ivy League school. He went to Yale, so actually him and Julian might know each other.
How presumptuous. Julian went to Harvard like 30 years later. What are you talking about?
They might have bumped into each other at Ivy League NFL reunions because every time there's an Ivy Leaguer in the NFL, that's the first thing that they mention is that they went to an Ivy League school.
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
But there are if you want to keep the scheme that we have, the Vic Fangio scheme, there
I want results, man.
There are some interesting coaches from that family. Brendan Staley is out there as a coordinator. Evero from Carolina.
Him I do like.
We'll see what happens there. But I also believe that we need to evolve as a staff because one thing that I've seen, I know Howie loves this Vic Fangio scheme, but sometimes if you're chasing the trend, you're 2 years later on it. And you know what? I know that because that's something that Howie has told me in the past. Howie is brilliant at putting this roster together, at knowing the league.
Well, how do you feel about the
value.
roster on defense? And Howie, keep it.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Well, you know what? I'm very loyal to my players, and that's why I believe that.
What would be the biggest change you would make personnel-wise on defense this offseason?
I think we need better linebackers and safeties. I think that is an area where we have not focused enough, and I understand.
Hold on. Can you call 911? I think Howie just fainted. He'll be okay.
But
Don't
you know
worry.
what?
This happens every time somebody talks about linebackers.
We have young corners on our team that I think can continue to grow. I like the progress that Keely Ringo showed. I like the progress that Eli Rick showed. Keely Ringo, by the way, when it's the third round of the draft this year, in the draft room, we're just going to put up video of Keely Ringo. We're going to put up the great highlights of Keely Ringo, and we're going to say that's our third round pick this year.
Great. Hold on a sec. Julian, he always does this. Julian is texting me. He's texting me these highlights of cool plays that the Detroit Lions are running on offense. Mm-hmm. It's really something else, that scheme.
By the way,
that would be fun.
Did you see the past two games we played against the Detroit Lions? I just want to make that clear. Did you see the way we played against them in Week 1 of the 2022 season and in the middle
put up a whole bunch
of the 2021 season? So our offense put up a lot of points too, and we're going to get back there.
They're still playing
because you believe in offensive football.
Okay, what about changes you're going to make on offense?
Well, no, so just regarding the personnel, we need our pass rushers to get back to the type of football that we know we can play. We've invested a lot of resources in there.
Well, the bad news is I'm very rich, but I'm not rich enough to build you a time machine.
Well, you know what? We have young guys there, but the thing that I found that Hassan Reddick was
Is that you?
Oh, so
we're having a meeting here. You're fighting for your job, and you got your text notifications on.
Wait. Well, do you know who that is right now? That's actually Tanner McKee, because I believe in connection. And Tanner McKee's telling me,
What a story to tell all those years from now when you tell people that the reason you got fired is because Tanner McKee was texting you in the middle of your meeting with Jeffrey Lurie.
Yeah. Oh, and actually, no, that one's from Philip Rivers. And that text there, that's from Tyrell. That's from Tyrell Williams, the former wide receiver at the Chargers, who I used to coach.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, there's some guys from IU.
Well, if it's Tyrell Williams, the job is yours.
So on offense, you know what? You hired me because I'm an offensive-minded coach, and you hired me because I know how to put together good offenses. And we were top 10 offense last year, and we were top 10 offense this year. Now we can get better, and we will get better. And I want Brian Johnson to stay as my play caller. I don't think we need a change at play caller. I don't think we need it, but I do think our scheme can continue to evolve. By the way, you loved Brian Johnson. I didn't know Brian before I got here. Howie put me in touch with him. Howie watched those Florida games and put me in touch with him, and I hired him as my quarterback's coach. And he's really grown while we've worked together. And I have great respect for Brian Johnson, and I know the league does too, because they're interviewing him. Do you want me to replace Brian Johnson, who's one of the sterling up and coming offense coordinators in the league, or do you want us to grow as a scheme and improve as a scheme? So what we can do, there are two options that I have. One is we can bring in, I want to bring in a senior offensive voice, someone who has head coaching experience, who has play calling experience, who has a certain amount of gravitas and can give us ideas and can kind of be a sounding board for me, because we had a very young staff this year. So one is Frank Reich. You won a Super Bowl with Frank Reich. Frank Reich is willing to come back for me because of my relationship with him. Some people say he's like a father figure. That's rude to my father. My father is my hero. But he's like an older brother to me. And we grew up in this game of football together. So
isn't that rude to your older brothers?
No, because look, you can have multiple older brothers. You can only have one father. So
some people have multiple fathers.
I don't want to get caught up in semantics here, but okay. Point being, Frank Reich agreed to come back. Now, Frank can be a sounding board for me. He can be someone similar to what he was for Doug Peterson when he was here. He can be the one who is telling me no, is giving me the heart, because I believe in having contrarian voices in the room. I was someone sent me the Gerard Mayo press conference from yesterday, where Gerard Mayo says he doesn't believe in echo chambers. He wants people who are going to disagree. He doesn't want to tell people what to think. He wants to tell people how to think. And that's a concept that I really want to utilize here, because I'm always studying great leaders and great coaches. I'm watching documentaries. I'm listening. I'm listening to clips that people send me. I'm not a big reader, okay, but I'm watching the documentaries.
Okay, you said two options. That was one.
Okay, and then the other one, if you want motion rate, if you want more play action, Arthur Smith. And I know you've been unimpressed by Arthur
that
Smith.
Guy.
I actually think he's a very good-looking guy. He looks like that PHLY host, Bo Wulf.
How dare you? You're fired.
But I will tell you this with Arthur Smith. You were very impressed with him when he was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee. I know.
Honestly, I just wanted use of his private jet.
I know you were impressed with him because I was just down on a family vacation in Fort Lauderdale, okay, seeing my family, and all of a sudden I get a call. Do you want to interview for the Eagles job? I didn't even have a suit. I wasn't prepared to interview for a job, but Arthur Smith, who was the first one you interviewed, he takes the Falcons job. And I just want to say, the first game that I ever coached, the first game that Arthur Smith ever coached, who won?
I did.
So, but Arthur Smith can, in all seriousness here, Arthur Smith, when you look at it, the Falcons were number 10 in motion rate this year. He has a lot of interesting concepts with the running offense.
I don't know that he's going to want to work for you. And also, aren't you keeping Brian Johnson? What's his job going to be?
Senior offensive assistant and assistant head coach. Now, Kevin Patul is currently the assistant head coach, so maybe we need to, and Jamal Singleton's the assistant head coach too. So we're going to have to figure out some titles.
Are you moving on from Kevin?
I cannot move on from Kevin. Kevin was the first guy I came here with. Kevin is a brilliant offensive mind. Kevin's going to be here as long as I'm here.
Okay.
But Arthur Smith comes.
Seems like it's becoming a bit of a bloated staff.
Well, what it is we're melding different ideas together. And all I'm doing is following what you're suggesting in terms of adding more of the motion, adding more of the play action. I know you did this for Doug Peterson in 2020 and didn't have good results. I will incorporate it better there because I have a good vision for how to utilize this.
Is there anybody else you want to add to your staff on offense?
Well, we are going to make some changes at the position coach level. We're going to cast a wide net, and I'll certainly listen to Howie and your suggestions about who might make sense at some different position coaches, perhaps. But no, I actually think our offense is better than what the media is saying right now. I think that if we can get those turnovers down and figure out some things with the explosive plays, we'll look just like the offense we were in 2021. I just want, I'm sorry, in 2022. I want to be clear that I have 5 core values in, connect, compete, football IQ, okay, fundamentals.
And I got to tell you, Nick, it has always bothered me. Every time I walk into that bubble, you've got those connections, but the parts of speech are not consistent. It's not parallel. It has bothered me all along.
Is this an English class or a football program? Okay.
I'm just saying, it bothers me.
I went to school to play football.
I care about
and
language.
Coach football. Okay, you know what language I care about? Wins and losses. You know what I care? The language I care about? Connection. Connecting with my players. Connecting with my coaches. Connecting with everyone I interact with in that building. Larry Karras told me one time. Can you believe it? Oh, and there's one other name I want to mention, by the way. He's a brilliant offensive mind. I coached him. I worked with him. And he's worked at Notre Dame. And he's worked at Alabama. And he is like a younger brother to me. Tommy Rees. Tommy Rees can come in here and be a difference maker on this staff. Tommy Rees, I've tried to hire him for the past 3-4 years. And it's hard to have someone who's calling plays in major colleges. And do you see what they're paying these college coaches, by the way? Do you see what they're paying the offensive coordinators at these schools? I think my staff can get hooked up here a bit. But, hey, we'll save that for another day. Tommy Rees.
You're coming to me now asking for raises?
Tommy Rees is a fantastic young football mind who knows the way I think and has worked with the top players at the college level. He's out of a job right now, or it sounds that way because Nick Saban retired and Kellen DeBoer took over at Alabama. Tommy Rees, if he can come here, he can add some of that college flair to our offense. And Tommy and I, we go back from our time together with the Chargers.
Well, Nick, I have to say, I came in today expecting to have a difficult decision. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything you've done for this organization. My lean throughout most of this conversation was to hand you a piece of paper that had basically your staff filled out, okay? I want Leslie Frazier to be your defensive coordinator. You're replacing DK McDonald. I'm bringing in a new safeties coach. I'm bringing in a new linebackers coach. Mike Caldwell, our old friend, sort of makes sense to me there.
Seems like you just hire a bunch of guys you know.
Well, I know they're good. And maybe they have Peter principled elsewhere, and I can get them back into the spot where they belong. I was going to accept your Frank Reich suggestion, and I figured it made sense to run it back. But I also wrote down one thing on a piece of paper before this conversation started that I would like to share right now. I don't know if you can see that. It says Tommy Rees equals fired. I wrote that down before the meeting started, and unfortunately, that's where we're going to have to conclude this. Thank you for your service.
I just want to say
Thank you
that,
for all your time.
Have you ever seen the movie Draft Day?
No, I actually watch good movies.
Well, I can actually tell you the movies that you watch because your favorite recent movies you've seen are Coda and Summer of Soul and Extraordinary Attorney
I love
Woo
Coda.
and my Octopus Teacher. But there's a line in Draft Day where the Kevin Costner wrote Vontae Mack, no matter what. Well, I have a slip in my notes in my office. It says Tommy Reese, no matter what.
Well, you and Tommy are going to have plenty of time together on the unemployment line. Nick, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I don't know that we'll be in touch anytime soon, but I will talk to everybody else here tomorrow. I think I've got a meeting set for 10 a.m. unless anything changes. And so for Howie and my secretary, and even for you, Nick, I thank all the people who watched this meeting, and we'll talk to you later. And Nick, you know what? Although we are parting, I do have to say, I love you.
We all silly like the mayor.